Hey guys, welcome into Trades Talk Podcast. I'm excited to bring you a new episode today with Shantel Perez, who is our employee success specialist at K&D Landscaping. Chantel's been making waves in the industry by creating this amazing connection between the office team and the production team, a process that she calls employee success, and it's been quite the journey over the last few years. I've been wanting to have her on the podcast for a while and finally convinced her to come on. So, Shantel, welcome to Trades Talk.
Hey, thank you. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. So, tell me a little bit about your role. Let's just jump in there. What do you do day to day at K&D Landscaping? What does it look like to be the employee success specialist?
Well, day to day does look a little differently. I wish I could give like an awesome answer of like every day I get to be with the employees or in meetings and stuff. But my day to day pretty much is different every day, every week. But basically, my job around here is to just be the all-around guidance and support for employees, whether that's them wanting to elevate and grow and searching for something new within the company, or just needing someone to talk to, trying to work through some challenges, or even just basically, hey, I need someone to talk to. This happened over the weekend, or this is going on in my life, and I need just to vent to someone. So any and all things that can be helpful to employees, kind of what I focus on.
Yeah. Well, and it's got to be dynamic too. I mean, what we do at K&D Landscaping is all about raising the bar and trying to elevate our team, helping to promote them, helping them to succeed and achieve their full potential. What is it like when you're working with team members who want to achieve the next step in their career, but they're unsure of how to get there? Like, how do you go about that? And how does that bring fulfillment and satisfaction to your job?
That's actually one of my favorite things about my job is being able to talk to employees and they're like, yeah, but I'll never be a supervisor. I'll never be a foreman. And I'm like, what? Yes, you can. If you want to be that, I can help you get there. And, I work with them and explain to them our growth plan progress and, how it's helped other employees get to their goals and kind of show them that it is possible if they want to get there. As long as they want to get there, I want to help them get there. And I think that's probably my favorite part of my job is showing them like, hey, if you want it, we can help you get there. Whether you're tradesman level 1 and you want to one day be a supervisor, we can create a path for you to get there.
And that I think is such a key element, because when people feel heard and they feel like they're able to grow somewhere, they often stay at that company. I've noticed our retention of team members over the last 3 years really has skyrocketed. We used to have, 40, 50, 60% turnover some years. Do you know where our turnover is this year? I think I have an idea of where it is, but I know it's a lot better than it has been.
I think for our last quarter, we were around 12%.
That's incredible.
So that's quite a jump from where we used to be when I first started in this role.
Yeah. And how many years have you been? Why don't you actually, before you answer that, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about how you started at K&D? What was your position when you started? I kind of want to go back. We're like jumping right into the deep end. Let's go back and talk a little bit about how you got into K&D and maybe just walk us through your journey of all the different positions that you've played at the team.
Yeah. Well, I've been with K&D for 4 years now. In October, I'll be hitting my 4-year anniversary with you guys.
Congrats.
Thank you. And I did start off in our maintenance department. I started off as a maintenance admin, just general admin. It was when we were starting to bring on water management and kind of what that meant, and enhancements was running separately. And so I started in maintenance, just general admin, started working with the team, the production team, with Aspire was being brought onto your guys' production side. Yeah. And so I would work with the employees on how to clock in and how to clock into tickets and understand their tickets and understand their labor variance and whatnot. And then Shane and Katie were like, you are great at that. Let's see if you would be great in water management. And they kind of started water management. We did a whole sprint for a week where we sat in a room and kind of developed what water management was going to be all about. So I
That
was
was
lucky to
cool.
be part of that process. Yeah, it was super neat. And that was like my first month in, and they were like, "Let's do it." And I was like, "Okay, sure."
What what's
Um,
a sprint for anyone who's like not sure of like what that looks like? What did it look like in that week?
it was so we sat in a room, we locked ourselves away for a whole entire week, 8 hours a day, and it was me and five other team members, and we just kind of basically ran through every scenario that could happen, good or bad, with starting a new department and what that meant as a client, and that's the part that I played highly on of like, I don't know what water management means. Why don't you sell it to me? And having to poke holes in all of their ideas and strategies on how water management was going to work. So basically, they have an idea and what needed to happen for it to kickstart and poking holes in that idea.
That's such an amazing concept. And I think most people, when they try to build a new service or a new brand, they don't put enough effort into the planning. And
Hmm.
I don't know too many companies out there that, you reminded me of this. I forgot we did this, but
Yeah.
that are willing to take 5 full-time team members, put them in a room for 8 hours a day, and come out with an actual plan. You guys did a great job on that, by the way. Congratulations, because
Yeah, I know.
that kickstarted what water management has now become. And
Yeah.
you were able to kind of see all the differences of water management. So then you go into water management and helping them. What'd that look like? And then what'd you do after that?
Yeah, so then I went into water management, helping the now techs, same thing, labor variants, look through tickets, upload, notes for our clients to see kind of what was done on their project, helped with billing, helped with invoicing, um, new contracts for maintenance, and then enhancements kind of joined in on the fun. And sooner or later, I was helping all three departments, kind of just being a coordinator between all three. So it was a good year, and that all happened within a year time span. So I really got into the Candy groove really right off the bat.
Yeah. And that helped you probably talk with a lot of the production team members in the field. And you obviously speak Spanish. Well, maybe it's not obvious to people listening, but you speak amazing Spanish and
Yes.
obviously great English. We know that. And you're able to kind of be that communicator that go in between. Did that have anything to do with you kind of going into what now is your employee success role, you think?
I think it had a huge part to play, because when I did start, we were integrating Aspire and having to walk them through understanding how to clock in and clock out and why it was so important was just like a concept to them. They were like, I just want to come and work and I just want to get paid what my 40 hours are. I don't care about the labor variance. I don't care about the tickets. I don't care about all the things that you guys care about. And I kind of just took it upon myself to be like, we need to care. You need to understand why you only have certain amount of hours on a project and why, we need to see these numbers so that we can make you guys more efficient. And a lot of the production members are only Spanish speaking, so it kind of was just easier for me to be able to go out to the yard every day and be like, "Hey man, you didn't clock in today. Why? What happened? Did you signal? Did you forget to clock in after lunch because you didn't clock in? What happened?" And be able to communicate why we stressed it and why it was important to us and help them understand it. So it was just a easy transition for me to just work with
Yeah.
them. And maintenance was such a huge part of the company. And it was a lot of employees at one time, and um, it just was a good transition. It was smooth.
And yeah, and I think so many people out there want to implement what you're saying. They want to have people care about the hours and why it's
Hmm.
important to follow the estimated hours and follow labor variance and clock in and have good data to make decisions on. Are we making money on mowing? Are we making money on concrete? Are we making money on tree work? And being able to identify gross profit by property, even of clocking in and out by property. And, we talk about this constantly in the disruptors and on Trade Stock. And most of the time talking to business owners who are like, yeah, this stuff's super important. This is what we focus on. The problem is the gap that exists between the business owner and leadership and the people in the field doing the work and clocking in and out. If you don't have that bridge built, then it doesn't matter how great your strategy is. It's always going to suffer from the team not fulfilling the vision that the leadership team has. Now, with that being said, you moved into the employee success role about how many years ago now have you been in? About 3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's something that you feel is like, your biggest accomplishment while you've been in employee success and in that role specifically?
I think my biggest accomplishment is being able to gain the trust from the team because it's not easy. It is not easy in our culture as well. And I think that also gave me a leg up of knowing that I can't just walk into the room and be like, hey, I'm your new employee success. Let's trust me. Trust me, I have the good intentions for you. I remember actually my first day that we went into when employee success was rolled out, and we went into a construction parking lot meeting, and Shane introduced me as the new employee success. And Jeremy asked me like, oh, what's one of the tips that you could give us that helped maintenance, get on board with clocking in and out correctly and understanding labor variance and caring? And my answer was like, what do you mean? The guys just, my maintenance guys just get it. Like I tell them why, and then they were open-minded to it. And I remember one specific employee was like, well, we're not your maintenance guys. And I was like, oh my God.
Here we go.
It's such a concept where I was like, all right, you're not wrong. You're right. But it was like I had to go back and humble myself and say, they don't know me the way maintenance knows me. So I have to earn that from them, and I have to get them to trust me that I have knowledge that I can bring and share and help them do better and be better and grow and learn things outside of what they're used to.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people overlook that step in the process and they just want to go straight to solutions. Like,
Yeah.
Why can't you clock in and out? What's the problem? Versus your approach, which is, hey, let me get these people to trust me by helping them, and then I can have them actually follow what I say because they trust that I'm actually doing it for the betterment of their success. So here's a $1 million question is like, how do you build trust with the team?
You know what? It's I remember when I was talking to Drew about this all, I remember me and you had a quarterly check-in, and you asked me the $1 million question of, how are you so good at your job? How do you get the guys to trust you? How do you get them to open up to you? So similar to this. And I answered just so like honestly and blatant, like, oh, it's because I think I have experience working with children. And then I went home and I was like, why would I say that? Like, although it was true,
Yeah.
although it was true in the sense of, yes, I think that's helped me because I've gained a lot of patience for if you don't trust me, like, okay, let's get you there. Like, what do I need to do to get you to trust me? Or what do I need to do for you to understand where I'm coming from or the team is coming from? And I went home and I just thought about it more, and that stuck in my head. And then I got a call from my sister. She had argued with my other sister, and she said, I know your sister's gonna call you right now and this and that. And I was like, what? Okay. And I listened to her side, hung up the phone. My other sister called me 10 minutes later, said, I know
Yeah.
your sister's gonna call you. This is my version, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, it just clicked in my head where I was like, this is why I think I'm good at what I do, and why I think I've been able to use my own personal experiences to get the team to trust me, because I can hear both sides and I can understand both sides and not choose a side, and just have them be able to feel comfortable to come and vent to me, and I'm not going to just attack them or have them feel like they're wrong or like their feelings aren't validated or their thoughts aren't correct. It's more of,
Yeah.
hey, I'm here to hear you. I understand you. Let's think about it in this perspective, or let's keep our mind open to this. Your feelings are valid. you have a point in what you're saying, but and however, let's keep an open mind. And I think having that sense of like not being the person to attack them and not being the person to just tell them that they're wrong is how they've started to trust me. And it's not easy. I feel like this
Right.
year alone, I've been working with someone in construction. His name's Choco, and he just now started trusting me. We've had to go through a lot of ups and downs for him. He's put me through the ringer of, can I trust you? But I think ultimately now he does.
How long did that specific situation take you to build the trust with Choco?
Like 3 years. He just
Wow.
this year during his review is when I knew he trusted me. Is he called me before like a week or two before his review was scheduled, and he said, I want you a part of it. And I was thrown aback because he doesn't usually want me a part of his meetings, and he usually wants to speak to who he speaks to and gets, wherever he wants with who he needs to specifically have in his corner. And he felt I was worthy enough to be in his corner. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I did from now until then. And maybe it's just having him know that even if things weren't always, we didn't see eye to eye on things, always had the best interest at heart for him and always wanted, him and his team to succeed. And I think that is why at this point in his career, he said, okay, you have my back. I need you there as employee success to be part of my review. So it took a while, but we got there.
Yeah. Well, I think I want to highlight that is I don't think it's very common for a team member to request that HR joins them in an employee review, right? They're kind of like, hey,
Hmm.
no, I just want to talk directly to my supervisor. I don't want HR in the
Yeah.
room. That's just,
Yeah.
and, I use the word HR to use common language that other people use to describe what you do. But how important is it that the terminology employee success versus human resources, is that a factor in what you do? I mean, if you were the HR specialist, do you think you would be able to have as much impact within the company as you do today?
Honestly, no, I don't think
Yeah.
so because HR is a scary word. HR, calling in
Yeah.
HR, you're like, I'm in trouble. And what did I do? Or how am I going to get in trouble? I'm going to say something that's going to put me, in a position I probably don't want to be in, or it's just a scary automatically human nature to be HR is no, it's bad. And I think I at K&D we've broken that stigma with employee success and having them feel like employee success isn't you're not in trouble. Employee success is here to help. And we do have, you know, resources like compliance is Jessica who handles all of our compliance and she's not scary. However, she is the one who
Depends on who you
handles all of the
ask. I
scary
mean,
things. You know what? Her accomplishment, a lot of the guys have opened up to her a lot more and come by the office a lot more. Like, where's Jessica? How's Jessica? So I think that's good. That's
awesome.
also breaking the stigma of what HR is, at least for K&D.
Yeah. And it is kind of a funny story what happened to HR at K&D, because it's like, it was not fitting in with our vision and our goals to raise a bar, and the people that were running HR were, interestingly enough, like protecting the company above all else, which most owners out there are probably thinking like, yeah, like obviously that's what they should be doing. But at the
Hmm.
same time, I think the company has a lot of protections in place. And I feel like in our industry, especially production level team members are not set up for success, and the deck is kind of stacked against them. And then company owners and leaders are always complaining at these conferences I go to that what's your number one issue? Oh, it's labor. I don't have enough people. I have high turnover. And then you dig into their systems and you realize, well, like you're not really creating an environment that's very successful oriented for your team members in the field. And I think that was a big issue that we had. And with that, I see that HR kind of departed our company, both metaphorically and the people that were in charge of HR. It created a vacuum that you really stepped into, along with Shane and Jessica embracing that new methodology. And I really believe like it's a core part of our success today was the pivot from HR to employee success. And most people don't believe me when I tell them that like, when you change the words of something, it actually changes everything. But we really carry a lot of weight in words. And so I just wanted to share that. I think you stepping into that really changed the trajectory of our culture. And then now we unwind back to like what makes great companies. And at the top of the list is culture. And what is culture? It's employees being successful. Like, So anyway, I want to say that and great job on your ability to transition from HR to employee success and fill that role. It's been incredible to watch. I want to ask you, out of our core values, since we're talking about culture here, we have 6 core values. What core value do you feel like you align with the most and why?
That's a good question. We have a lot of really good ones. I think I align
take
the
a
most
minute.
with...
It's a tough question. There's a lot out there. So take a minute, think about it. About it.
I think I would say humility. And I say humility because I think my mom raised me to just always think of others and be humble and not ever think like I'm better than anyone, no matter, my background to someone else's background, my success to somebody else's success. She was a single mother of 5 kids, so it was,
wow.
Yeah, very grateful for her. But there was one thing that she always told me was, you lose the right to complain if you choose to do nothing about it. And I think a lot of the times I always think about that, and I bring it back to humility because I always think like, ugh, why does that have to happen? Or why did they think that way? Or why did this situation happen? Like, poor me. And then I'm like, not poor me. Like, there's other people who have it worse, or there's other people who, go through harder situations and work it out and deal with it. And I think keeping that instilled in me and trying to bring myself back in and stay grounded and be humble to whether I'm doing great or I'm doing bad, or the team is doing great or the team is doing bad. Just always remember, just stay humble.
Yeah. Gosh, that's so good. I really, really agree with that quote. You lose the right to complain if you do nothing about it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to complain about in any company, especially a company that has 130 plus employees, where 100 of those go out into the world in different directions every morning, like scatters across multiple counties and multiple areas, and are completely separated for 99% of the day. And they're together in the morning for 8 minutes or hopefully less, right? and together in the afternoon.
Labor variance.
Shop time. But you have like this way of creating connectivity throughout the entire company by doing something about those challenges and by actually showing up and actively working with the team. And I've noticed that when you're authentic and you're really trying to do your best work, the team, especially the team in the field, they know that. And then when you're faking it and you're just trying to show up early at the yard, and they know when you're just doing it to just get kudos and just get points, and it doesn't go as far. So you have really walked the walk and shown them that you're willing to connect with them where they're at on the job site. And I'd love to ask you a little bit about that. I know you, unlike most people in your position, you spend a lot of time out of the office and in the field. So walk me through a little bit about that. Why is that important? And what do you do when you're out in the field other than posting pictures on social media?
I think that was probably the biggest shift I saw when I started really focusing on employees, and when we removed HR and created employee success. I know previously our HR representative would also do some site visits and um, ride-alongs and stuff. And so when I started doing them, I was kind of getting the same reaction of maybe how they had experienced previously. And I would show up and be, hi guys, like, what's going on? How was your weekend? How are these? You want a snack? Do you want a drink? I just came to check in on you. And they would look at me like, no, you did not come and check in on me. What are you trying to get? Like, what information? Or why are you here? Are we in trouble? And I was like, what? What? No, how was your weekend? What's going on? How was your day? And I think the more I went out there and started showing them, like, I'm not here to get you in trouble. I'm not here to be HR. I'm here to see how your day is going. Is there anything that we could be doing better to make you more efficient? Is there anything that we should be doing to make this project better? Do you have all the information that you need? Do you have all the tools that you need? Um, any of that kind of sense, I think, is where I really saw the big break of like consistently being out there doing the same thing, never coming and being like, I need to talk to you, or what are you doing here? Why are you not doing what you're supposed to be doing? I don't know, whatever the previous person did.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think consistency was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So I think
when you're,
to me,
yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What was your question?
I just want to ask, like, one thing I was kind of thinking of is like, when you're out in the field, how much of the time are you giving direction or trying to correct what they're doing or correct the behaviors versus just like being curious and trying to understand what they do every day?
Oh, I'm never correcting. I mean, unless they're not wearing their safety gear, but proper PPE.
PPE. Fair.
PPE.
Safety first, number one fundamental.
Safety is the number one fundamental. Other than that, I never go out there and try to get in their space and tell them, you know, what they're doing wrong or how they could be doing better, things like that. I think it's just a mutual respect of like, I will stay in my lane and you will stay in yours, and I respect your craft for what it is. But I think just having the consistency of me just going out there and being the same every time and never bringing back, like, say an employee got in trouble the day before and I pull up to the job site the next day and they're like, oh my God, she's going to talk about it again, or she's here to see. And I act totally casual, nonchalant, and was like, hey, how are you doing? How you doing? Okay, what are you doing today? Or what's going on? Walk me through your job site. Show me what you're doing today. Like in maintenance, I'll go out there and I'm like, how do you prune? I don't know. And I'm going to forget by the time I leave. But in those 10 minutes that I spent with the employee of them showing me how to properly, naturally prune, it makes them feel good and that I genuinely do care, because I do. I think it shows with them where I'm not just going out there to get them in trouble or to see what they're doing. It's more of genuine care for their craft and respect for their hustle.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love that share. And I think that's such great advice for people who are in similar positions or even in leadership positions, is like, try to not correct behavior in the moment on the job site. Just be curious and constructive. And it's amazing the work that our teams do in this industry across all regions. They do so much amazing stuff. And whether it's putting in pavers and amazing stone, or it's naturally pruning a rose bush or something in between, I mean, very dynamic, and there's a lot of skill that goes in, and I don't think they get credit. I like to say they're like, landscape athletes. They're out there in the elements all day, every day, doing this amazing craftsmanship and this amazing work, yet so few of them actually get recognized, because part of being a landscaper, unfortunately, is like not being seen. Like, we train to not be in the customer's way, or to be as quiet as possible, to not make dust, to park the truck where they can't see it, to mow when people aren't around. And, a good landscaper was never seen. And that's a really tough environment to work in indefinitely for your life. And so I think what you do brings so much needed recognition in a time where people are probably felt and somewhat forgotten about in their day to day and how hard they actually work.
Yeah. I think that goes back to, earlier you were asking me, why is it so important for us to like be there and show up? And I know a lot of my days throughout the week start at 6 a.m. and I'm here till 6 p.m. sometimes. And I think
Yeah.
that shows them that, hey, if you're putting in the work and you're showing up every day and you're going the extra mile, like I'm here with you, and I'm here in the morning with you, morning rollout, and I'll be here in the afternoon when you end your day in case you need me.
That's big because they have support on both ends of their day. And I definitely feel like that's rare in our industry. A lot of people are, available in the evenings or the afternoons when they get done, but they aren't there in the mornings. And, you see some of the, like Manny, Eddie, George, Jose, Roth, Brian, all these guys.
Yeah.
The list is long of people who show up early and stay late. But if the support side of the business, support services, let's say, where employee success and finance lives, like what you and Tina do and Jessica and the whole team, like it goes so far by showing up early and staying late, especially if you're out there in the yard in the mornings. Like,
Yeah.
that's an incredible share, and thank you and congratulations for just like stepping up for your team. That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. It helps
I'm like
them.
trying to interview you and be a podcast person, but also I just want to be like Shantel rocks like this whole time. So I'm trying to be professional. But I just want to say it really makes me super proud to know that, what I believe is the best way of doing things and the best way for just I don't even want to say landscaping, just like human connection and building a company is like, I think you've had this desire to see how great can we be and how much can we raise a bar. So it's just awesome to hear it as we talk and sit down about this. Now I want to ask you about some challenges. You mentioned a little bit about bridging the gap between leadership, office, and production teams. What is the biggest challenge when it comes to bridging the gap between, office and field team members?
This doesn't sound really cliche, but I think it's communication.
Yeah, fair.
And I only say that because I think it goes back to, I had a conversation with John and Jess about this the other day after an argument that was happening, not an argument, healthy argument, between, an issue that was arising. And I had to stop and be like, you guys need to remember, you think very high level and you guys think here, above what the normal mentality and normal thought process is. And we need to remember to scale it back and think production team doesn't think like that. Yes, they can understand that and they can get there. And once it's communicated, they're very open-minded, they're very understanding, they're incredibly intelligent. But it's not an initial off the bat think here. And I think that is my biggest tool that I use when helping bridge that gap is remembering to hear our management side of it and understand our management's, thoughts and processes and why we are where we are, and be able to articulate that to the production team in, language that they understand and in a process that they're going to comprehend and get to that level. So communicating it properly is probably the biggest tool.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that is easy to say and so much harder to do. So when I see a lot of teams in internally and externally struggling with communication, a lot of times it's what you said. They don't understand the other person's perspective or priorities. And let's face it, like when you're in the field, and I was in the field for 7 years, like I know how hard that work is. And I know that your priorities are different. You're making sure that your equipment is functional. you have the material you need, you have clarity of what your role and expectation is on the job site or on that maintenance
Mm-hmm.
route. And as a strategic leader, maybe you're more focused on hitting your gross profit targets for the quarter or hitting some
Mm-hmm.
other types of KPIs, or maybe it's about
Yeah.
reducing turnover. Whatever it is, you have your priorities. And sometimes the priorities overlap and sometimes they don't overlap. But it seems like you've been able to find a way to speak both languages and then try to kind of like translate the teams through that process, like
Yeah.
literally and physically, where you're actually translating English to Spanish, but also
Yeah.
translating priorities too.
Yeah.
Does that kind of resonate on that the challenge that you're trying to make between the two levels?
Totally. It totally does. It does help, however, though I do get to luckily sit in a lot of L10s and understand our processes and our way of thinking and how to think of ways to get ahead of it. So when it gets to the production level, I already know how to combat with their questions and their concerns and whatnot.
So tell me a little bit. You mentioned L10s. For those listening that don't know what an L10 meeting is, what are they? How often do we have them? And why is it important that you're in them?
Yeah. So an L10 is a level 10 meeting. So like a staff meeting. Here we have one for every department. So our support team has our own level 10 meetings that we do, and they are weekly. They're on the schedule every week at the same time, same day. And we just kind of go over, we give headlines of like things that are going great or things we need to discuss. We use Bloom or Traction. It used to be called Traction, Bloom, to kind of help guide us in those meetings and make sure we stay on topic and we stay on task of like what is needed from our team at the moment. I get to attend more than my own department staff level 10 meetings. I luckily am able to attend the commercial side and the design build side and the Mew side and see a little insight on everyone's team and how everyone's team runs their department and every different team's struggles and every different team's wins as well. So it's important for me, I think, that I'm given the opportunity to sit in those meetings just to better understand that team's dynamic, understand the team's struggles, or understand the team's wins, and be able to keep that in mind when I am dealing with the production side of it as well.
Yeah, I feel like you have created a really, really good, diverse level of inputs into your position. Like you're getting the L10 and you're seeing the headlines and you're seeing the issues that are popping up for each division, but you're also in the field talking with the team on a regular basis. You're in employee reviews. You're hearing feedback regularly and solving problems for them. I mean, you probably have the best lens into the company in terms of how are things going. And first off, great job. And so my second question is like, how do you find the time to do all this stuff and do such a great job at it? Give me some tactics there. Like, how do you handle all of these inputs and all this information constantly flowing into your office?
Well, thank you for thinking I do a great job at it. That means I'm hiding it very well. No, just kidding. Um, um, I don't know. I think it's really funny because the guys have this joke about me where every time I go out and they try to tell me like, oh, I need help with this, or can you help me request this day, or can you help me get a meeting with so and so? I'm like, yeah, text me because I'm gonna forget. And they're always like, yeah, we know you're gonna forget. I'll text you for you to remember by the time you get to the office. And it's funny because I don't forget, like in my core, I don't forget, but in that moment I do. In that moment I'm here and I focus on that team or that meeting or that situation, and everything else is out of sight, out of mind. And then when I come back to my desk and I will email myself and I'll Teams myself and I'll write sticky notes and whatever I need to do to keep that in my head, and I will get an employee text message. I need a day off request for this. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, let me help you out with that, and go back and it is a lot of information coming at me, but I think just keeping my focus on what I am focusing on at that moment helps me, stay aligned and stay on track to what, that specific employee or that specific team's needs are.
So just kind of like, yeah, that's awesome. Just handling it in the moment, getting it checked off the list.
Yeah.
Now, we've grown a lot since you joined the company. And my question is, as we grow, clarity always becomes an issue. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've asked team members, like, what's your number one issue? They're like, clarity of my role. Like, what do you need me to do every day? And so how do you kind of like support the clarity of expectations, especially across growing teams? What's some tactics that the listeners can utilize if they're going through something similar?
I think a big thing that Jess has kind of given me the opportunity to run with is having quarterly check-ins myself with everyone on our management side of it, because I know a lot of it, I do heavily focus on our production end, and theirs is a lot easier to kind of guide of you show up and you do what, is on your list, is on your task of what you're good at and whatnot. But management side is a little bit harder where we're growing and changing. It seems like every day. So
Yeah,
having the
seriously.
opportunity to consistently check in on them and ask them, quarterly, I do sit with them for an hour period and ask them, a list of questions regarding, or surrounding, you know, are you clear on your expectations? I mean, are you clear on what is expected of you, right now? Are you clear on your role here? Is there anything I can be doing to better support you? Do you feel like you have all the support from your team, whether that's your direct supervisor or your peers in your department as well? So having the chance to sit with them once a quarter and just realign on where they're at, where their headspace is at, is huge. Another one is I just get myself out of my day-to-day routine and I walk up. Luckily, we're up and down in one building right now, but
Yeah.
I get to go upstairs and walk around the office and casually check in on them. How are you doing? How's work going? Hey, last week you were struggling with this. Did you get that figured out? Or did you call that client back? Are they still angry? Are they happy now? Or, like whatever they were dealing with, just kind of keeping a pulse on it and making it known that, like, hey, I remembered what you were talking about and I remember to come back and circle back and you amongst all of the employees it mattered to me. That's probably my
Yeah,
biggest thing.
that reminds me of a quote I heard from my friend Kimberly. She says, "People won't care how much you know until they know how much you care."
Ooh,
And
that's a good one.
I love that because it's like I think you
Yeah.
embody that. Like you throughout this whole talk, you have shown me that you really care about the success and the ability for people to do a good job at their job. And
Yeah.
although we all say we want to care and we all try to act like we care, I think at the end of the day, when you really, really care, it's impossible to fake and it's impossible to hide. People are going to see that and they're going to come to you with their challenges. I think the hardest part for people in your role is how do you know what to fix if no one's telling you what's broken?
Yeah.
And you've done a really good job, and it's probably hard, it's probably stressful, of hearing all the things that are quote unquote broken in a company that's growing. And I think some people can look at that as a negative and be like, oh man, there's all these things that are broken. Others look at it as an opportunity to make improvements. And that's amazing. So I just wanted to point that out. I think that's a really big part of what you're doing that makes you successful is that, you genuinely care about people's success and their happiness.
Yeah.
Retention way up. Team members are staying at K&D. They're obviously succeeding. They trust you. I think there's a lot of correlations that people can draw through this episode around that. But I want to ask, like, what would your advice be to someone who is struggling with retaining team members in a trades business or a landscape business? Maybe they have 40, 50, 60% turnover every year. what would you give them advice on of how to go about improving that number of employees quitting and turning over?
That's a good question. Um,
It is. Sit on it.
I
It's
think,
okay.
yeah, I think I would say is to stay genuine and remember why you started doing what you're doing and why it mattered to you in the first place, and don't forget that through all of the ups and the downs that you may go through. It's just always remember, like, you started it for a reason. You were doing it for a reason. You had passion for it at some point, and always just go back to that and show up, be consistent, and stay genuine.
I love that. That's such great advice. And I think too, we have to kind of weather the storm sometimes. And it's easy to kind of like throw your hands up and feel like you're a failure. But a lot of times that's just like, that's that last little bit before you achieve like really, really amazing success. Is that last little bit is so hard. And it's really like the world testing you to see if you're worthy of your next level of achievement. And when you push through that, on the other side is this amazing, like, waterfall and shower of fulfillment and gratitude and excitement. And you truly find your next level. But so many people give up when they hit that barrier and they hit that level of frustration. And you've seemed to like break through these barriers constantly at K&D through your growth. What is one of those things that, as you're going through your journey, how do you make sure that you're giving yourself enough love and you're giving yourself enough attention and you're giving yourself enough like of your own, employee success? I mean, how does Shantel take care of Shantel when you're taking care of 135 people?
I think my job makes me okay, it's gonna sound really corny, but I really truly mean it in the sense of like the team fills my cup. And I sometimes, everyone has their own struggles in their own personal life, and everyone comes to work. And I know sometimes we're like, I can't give anymore. I'm giving all that I can and I'm doing everything, and I don't know if I can keep going. And then I'll get a call from an employee who's just like, hey, thank you for listening to me yesterday, or thank you for showing up on site and seeing something that to us is like, oh yeah, it's just part of our day to day. And you're like, that could be better. Let me shoot a quick text to somebody and get this fixed for you. And that just them realizing how much I care about them and realizing that, like, hey, I am here for you guys, and them taking the time out of their day to like say thank you or just acknowledge that like I'm doing it for a good reason, and like they see the hard work being put in. I'm like, all right, cool, good enough for me. Like that's all I need is for them to see that I genuinely do care.
That's a great answer. And I really, really relate to that, because a lot of people ask me a similar question in different contexts, depending on where I'm at. And they're like, how do you do what you do? Or like, why don't you ever burn out? Like you're never like beyond stressed out. You always seem like you're fine. And I'm like, it's what you just said. It's like, it's when you get that response back, and it takes like one text a week or something of someone to reach out, right? And say, hey, you made my life better by something you did. And I think those people who are driven and motivated by that type of feedback and that type of giving should pursue a career in what you're doing. And I think there's a lot of people who listen to this show who might be in sales or might be in account management or might be in another area of the business where they're kind of burnt out and they're looking for what that next step is. And so like, if you're listening and, you get a lot of satisfaction by helping others be more successful. And I always like to say, what drives me is helping people achieve their full potential that they did not believe in. And when someone achieves something greater than they thought they would ever do in life, I mean, that's the best gift that you could receive. And so I think there's a lot of people hopefully that are being inspired through this conversation to maybe maybe HR is not your thing, but maybe employee success is your thing. And
Yeah.
if there's one thing we can all agree on in landscaping and the trades industry is our number one challenge is people. And our number one challenge is getting and retaining the best people in our areas. So obviously there's a huge need there. It's just often not looked at as like the route to success. It's like, oh, you should go in sales and earn commission, or you should do this or do that. So I think today we brought light to a maybe the most important part of our businesses, and hopefully showed a little bit different of a lens of what HR could actually look like when you just get rid of HR and you replace it with employee success.
Yeah. It's totally different too. Like if you would have told me 3 years ago, like, oh yeah, we want you to be HR, I would have told you no. Like I told Jessica when she told me, I was like, that's no.
That's a
Thank
no.
you. That's a no though. It got reworked and it's working out, but it's different than HR.
I know. It was kind of crazy how we came up with that too. The whole employee success thing. Like it was like Shane and you and Jessica. And I think a big part of it was you're like, I don't want to be HR. And then that like
Yeah.
forced all of us to come up with like a new, we got to call it something else to trick Shantel into doing the.
Yeah, I
And then
remember
it
it
ends
was
up
the
being this amazing
scariest
thing.
conversation. Yeah, no, it was terrible. John and Shane were like, yeah, it's going to be HR. And I was like, that's really great. But no, I don't want to be HR. And they were like so taken aback and like, what? She said no. And I was like, okay, well, it was a good run while it was.
Yeah, you're like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to walk.
I didn't want to be HR. But when it did get reworked into, what it could be, and I mean, never would have I imagined it would be this. But it was a hard no for traditional HR.
Yeah. And that's a great share, because how many people are getting turned down for opportunities, or they're not looking for opportunities simply because the description of what you're going to be doing is misleading. And I mean, if someone says describe human resources to me, I'm like, I don't know. Like, what does that even mean? And then when someone says define employee success, like, okay, well, that's a no-brainer. It's helping employees be more successful than they are today. Like how else can you describe that? So yeah. And big shout out to John, Jessica, Shane, you, and the whole team for coming up with that idea of employee success. I've told Shane multiple times, maybe he's listening to this, I said he should write a book titled How We Got Rid of HR and put in employee success.
He should. He's the reason that, I mean, he's the one who, was the second person to hire me. So he's a big reason why I'm here to begin with.
That's awesome. So with that, we always end our episodes with a trade secret from our guests. And you've shared so much great advice, and this has been a super fun episode. So thank you for agreeing to do this. What is one thing that you want to leave our listeners with that is your trade secret that you've learned over the years of doing what you do?
I'd say show up every day. Show up, whether it's good times, whether it's bad times. You showing up makes the world of a difference to both management and production.
Simple. And I think that's so profound. Just get there. Just show up.
Yeah.
I think I really like that. It reminds me of, I was listening to a book recently, and the author was talking about not being certain on what the next step is. And maybe not knowing what the next 5 years is going to be, right? And with so much change and so much technology and all of this AI stuff, people are really nervous about even what the next 3 years looks like. And so his advice was similar to yours. It's like, you may not know your vision of the next 3 years or the next 3 months, or maybe not even the next 3 days, but like you can wake up, you can show up today, and you can take the next step. And you probably know what the next step is, but if you don't show up, then you can never take that next step. So I really, really like that trade secret of just show up. So simple.
Sure.
All right, Shantel, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all of this. And yeah, Thank you. I really, really appreciate you being on. Did you have fun?
I did. I feel better about it than when I came in initially, but it was good being able to talk to you and talk about what I love to do every day.
Yeah. Well, you were a little nervous coming in, as it to be expected, and you absolutely crushed it. So thank you. And you're out and about. So if people want to follow you on LinkedIn or something, like you're always posting stuff, or obviously follow our Instagram and you'll see Shantel on there. And maybe one day I'll convince you to come out to a conference and do a talk with me. We can keynote something.
One day we'll get there.
You're like, that'd be my worst fear, but I would love to do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody listening.
Thanks for tuning in to Trades Talk, where the next generation of disruptors comes to raise the bar. If you got value from today's episode, share it with someone in the trades who's ready to level up. For more tools, insights, and community, follow host Justin White and join the movement at jwhitegroup.com.